Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you had a really successful trading week this week. So we're really overdue one of these videos. In fact, I was talking to a member of my team today and they said, you know what, I think you need to do one of your kick up the arse rant type videos, because they'd noticed that from like the comments they've seen, forum posts, emails that we've been getting, that there are certain things that people are doing that they know they really shouldn't be doing. And sometimes it takes a bit of a rant or like a kick up the arse to get you back on track. You would have seen it in the Trading Tutor series with Adnan, that when he kept making the same mistakes time and time again, then it got to the point where he'd only listen when I ranted at him, and then it sort of changed his mindset and he got back on track. I think every now and then we all need a reality check like this, me included. I mean, yesterday I went to a meeting where I had to get a bit of a reality check in certain areas, and it gave me food for thought where I really had to go away and think how I need to work on certain areas to improve. And so that's what I want to do today with you and your trading. Some of these things might not necessarily apply to you, but as like a general concept or idea or as problem, that I think it applies to everyone. And I think it can be summarized in one very cheesy sounding sentence, which is you have to learn to be able to earn. When it comes to trading, that is especially true. So the first thing I want to get at is people trying to rush into things. When I see people learning to trade and they maybe have their first profitable trade or profitable week, then you start to see a mindset shift and they start to get a little bit anxious. They want to jump into a live account. Now, of course, this doesn't happen for everyone, but it happens enough that I feel I need to address it. You see, the way I look at trading is that it is just a business, the same as any other business. In this business, you're trading in the financial markets rather than maybe trading in a local shop or something like that. But using that parallel, let's say that you were starting a local shop and you had £10,000. So instead of maybe having £10,000 in a trading account, you have £10,000 to start up your shop. And let's say that shop is doing something that you've never actually done before. You've got no experience and it requires a certain amount of skill. So would you jump straight into that business, invest your £10,000 without doing any preparation before that? Of course not. I mean, some people do in business. They start up a business without thinking about the repercussions or whether it's even feasible. No feasibility studies, don't even have the skills to make it work, and yet they jump into it. And that's of course why I think it's something like 90% of businesses fail as well. And it's the same for traders. But let's run this parallel still. So you set up the shop, you're sitting there and you've got started straight away. If you don't know what you're doing, you haven't got the skill to do it, then first of all, when people come into your shop and they see that you don't have the skill, or you don't have the ability, or you can't deliver on what you said you were going to do, they're going to walk straight back out. And it's going to happen again and again and again. And every month you've got your burn rate, the amount of money that you're going through to keep this shop in, like to keep it running. And eventually you're going to run through all of your money and you're going to have nothing left because you were stupid and naive enough to start up without having any sort of preparation. So instead, let's say you go through the phase of learning the skill. You now know what you need to do in that business. So if you start up the business then, at least people will come into your shop and they'll say that you can deliver on what you said you're going to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a profitable business because you haven't done any sort of feasibility study or produced any sort of plan that's going to say what you need to do to actually turn a profit, if it's even possible. So let's take that back to our trading. So a lot of people might have spent, months of time trying to learn about trading, but they haven't actually got to the stage where they've put together a trading plan that's going to consistently deliver profits for them, or at least make them above break even and not into a loss. So again, it's too early to do that. Instead, you need to go through the phase where you're learning the skill. Then you need to go through the phase where you're planning and figuring things out and tweaking things until you have a plan that you say, this is going to generate money for me, this is going to generate a return on my capital invested, and then you go into business. So that's the same as what you would do with a shop. You'd learn what you're doing, you create a plan, you go into business, and that's how you can potentially be a success. Of course, there's other factors when you're actually live in business that you didn't have to consider before, but it's the same with trading. You need to learn the skill first of all. Then after that, you put together your plan, and only then are you ready to go into business, to open your doors and say, right, now I'm in business. But yet people want to rush into it, especially the younger people. Sorry guys, but if you're below the age of 25, I've noticed that you rush even more. You want it to happen like now. So you go through like a few weeks of learning and you say, I know it all now, so I'm ready to go into a live account. Then inevitably the emails start coming in. I went into my live account, but something's not right. Like it's not consistent. I feel like I'm just there, like I'm getting good entries, but the trades don't seem to work out the way I want them to. It's because they focused on that trade entry. They've learned about the tools a little bit, enough to get that entry, but they don't know about the whole process of opening a trade. They don't have a plan. They're not doing anything consistent. They're going to lose their money. So guys, don't rush ahead. You wouldn't do it in many, many other things, so don't do it in this. It reminds me of when I was back at school and me and my friend used to sit there in class and talk about, one day we're going to run a business and we're going to do this and that. And we didn't even think about the fact that you need skills. We just wanted to get straight to the making money part. We just thought we were going to be businessmen of the year and that's going to be it. Like, reality check, you're not going to be the best ever if you've done no preparation and you haven't even learned the skills you need to be good at something. So that's the first point. And again, it comes back to this. You've got to learn if you want to earn. You've got to learn about trading if you want to earn from it. And that brings me on to the next point, which is that people are not actually learning the things they need to learn. I know it's hard to dwell on your weaknesses and to accept that you need to work on something. And it's especially hard if you've been doing this for a while and you've got into some habits with things that you've got to have a certain amount of discipline to break your habits and stick to a new path, even if it's not yielding results, but you know it will in the long term. But yet I see people deviating from that and it's ridiculous. So people will write to me saying that they've burnt out their accounts and that they don't want to do it again. They're doing things much more carefully this time, but then something snaps in them and they lose this discipline to stay conservative with what they're doing and they end up burning out accounts again. And it's the same mistakes that they've made before, or they've made the mistakes, they say, okay, I'm going to address those mistakes now, and rather than spending time addressing those mistakes, they just jump straight back in with another live account, funding it with more money, and then continue thinking that it's going to have resolved itself overnight. It's not the case. You're going to need time to work on it, and people aren't giving it that time. But the thing that I'm seeing the most is with position sizes. Conservative position sizes. I've spoken about it so many times that you should only risk like a maximum of 1 to 2% per trade. And when I say that, I mean that your max is, you've got a maximum amount. You might decide that your maximum on any trade is going to be 2%. You might decide it's 1%, 1.5%, 1.3%, whatever. You might start at 0.1 and increase it a little bit incrementally each month. But that's your maximum. It doesn't mean that every trade is that. That's the maximum amount between 1 to 2%. And I know it's frustrating to do that because it feels like slow progress. But trust me, it's the only consistent progress you're going to make, because any other progress is going to look like this. Up, 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 bang, down, crashed out, burnt out an account. So I see people that start off like, yeah, I'm going to do that 1 to 2%, and slowly over time it drifts. Suddenly it's 3%, then 4%, then 5%. Or situations when the price gets to their stop loss, but they just move it slightly because they're like, this trade could still be good. So a trade's automatically gone from being 1% at risk to, let's just move that down, and now it's 2% at risk, which is ridiculous. Or situations when someone's using a dynamic position size. In other words, the start of their calculation for what position size they should use is based on their stop loss size. And if that's 5 pips, and you want to risk 1%, your position size is going to be quite a lot larger than if your stop loss was 15 pips with 1% at risk. Now, that's a way to sort of game the system. If you know you can only risk 1 to 2% per trade, but you really want to make a lot of profit from a trade, of course you can claim that your stop loss is much smaller, much closer to the price to maximize your position size. But the only person that you're cheating in that situation is yourself. And if you're not actually noticing that you're doing it, then you need to step out of the situation and look at it externally. And this is where having a trading journal comes into things and actually analyzing your data, not just keeping stuff in your trading journal for the sake of it. That's not the point. You don't do it just to write things down for the sake of it, like you're writing poetry. You're doing it so you can analyze it and go back over things and check what you're doing right or wrong. So if you're doing this thing of having a stop loss too close, and especially if you're moving it, you need to look back at the data and then you'll realize you're doing it and you'll say, shit, that's why things are not going right for me. That's why my position sizes are too big. Yes, my stop loss is tight, but the chances are that there's going to be slippage through that anyway, or the chances are that at some point there's going to be some sort of bigger risk that I didn't expect, and the market's going to move much further than I thought, and it's going to wipe me out because my position size per pip is way too high. Once again, guys, it comes back to you need to learn if you want to earn. And that doesn't just mean learning concepts, learning theories. It also means learning how to adjust in your head the way that you're approaching things. You need to learn sort of new good habits and unlearn the bad habits. You need to be disciplined to stay on a path that's going to lead to success. I know it's difficult to focus on your weaknesses because all we want to do is build up our strengths, because it's like when something falls into place, we have that eureka moment. All we want to do is keep doing that because it feels good. So you get that buzz like, yeah, I'm doing something, I know what I'm doing and it's working. And then you've got this thing that's not working, like whether it's position size or whether it's, a certain situation in the market or closing trades, and you're like, yeah, but I'll come on to that at some point. Well, that some point has to be now. If you want to start earning with your trading, if you want to start being consistent, you need to figure out those weaknesses, shine a light on them, and figure out how you're going to fix them. Don't just brush over them and think that you can get good enough at the rest of the stuff that won't matter anymore, because a trade is like this, it's a hole. And if you're good at this bit, then there's still this bit that's wide open. You need to close it up and say, okay, I'm an all-round good trader. I'm not just good at finding an entry, because an entry doesn't mean anything unless you can close that trade as you're meant to do. So guys, I think there were a few other points that I was going to cover, but they all fall under this same sort of umbrella of you've really got to learn and be disciplined on that journey that you're on. If you really want to be consistent and not just get to a point where you're going to just give up or decide, you know what, I'm going to come back to this in a couple of years, it's not working for me right now. You've got to be disciplined, you've got to be realistic, you've got to look at yourself, have a reality check and say, I need to improve this, otherwise I'm going nowhere with this. But it's the weekend, so take some time, have a think about what you've been doing, maybe look at some of the data, look at some of your trades that you've taken screenshots of, come back much, much better on Monday. Whether you're profitable or not right now, just come back better. That should be the aim every single week, better and better and better. Keep improving, keep progressing. It just takes that bit of effort, that bit of discipline, and blood, sweat and tears. Anyway guys, hope you have a great weekend. Thanks a lot for watching. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and all the links for social media and everything else are in the description box. See you soon. Bye.